Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the second part of my new series, Back to Basics. So I'm giving you makeup tips if you're a beginner at makeup. So it's very, as the title suggests, basic. If you didn't see the first part, you should watch that one first because I explain base products. This is a different day that I'm filming this, but I did the same technique just to keep, the consistency. But today's video is going to be bronzer, contour, blush, and highlight. So we're slowly going through the different steps of applying a full face of makeup. And I'm not really going to talk about the products I'm using because these videos are just like tips for beginners. So the idea is that you can use the makeup you already have to do the same type of thing. So let's just get right into it because it's really hard to make a 15-minute video. The first thing I would do, after my base has been applied, is, well, it depends. Sometimes I do my eyeshadow first, but for the purpose of this series I want to do the powder products first. So what I would start with is bronzer, and I will talk about contour in this video, but personally I don't really do contouring, so I'm not gonna like give you tips on something I've never done myself, but I can tell you like from what I've learned watching other YouTube videos how it works. So for the bronzer, what I want to do is get a brush that will work to apply bronzer the way I like it, which is not too heavy. So I like to use a duo fiber brush for that because I don't want to have like very visible bronzer on my face since I'm pretty pale to begin with. So for bronzer, you've probably already heard about doing the 3 on your face, like the number 3. So basically that is what I normally do. So I start with the product on my forehead and I kind of like hold the brush on a slant because if you press it down too much you'll have like too much of the bronzer, and you don't want to cover your whole forehead with bronzer. You really want to bronze the perimeter of your face, so close to the hairline, and then just blend it down. And then I usually take some more product and I start below my cheekbone. A good point of reference is like where your ear is. I don't know if maybe that's different for some people, but for me that's where I want to put my bronzer. And again, I'm holding the brush on a slant and I just go under my cheekbone, so wherever that is for you, where the natural like curve of your cheekbone is, that's where you want to put the bronzer, and blend it back into your hairline because or else you'll have like a blank space and you don't want that. So if you can see, it's getting bronzier there. And then instead of putting the bottom of the 3, so we did like the top, you don't really want to do the bottom right here. You want to actually put it under, so like on your jawline, because it creates like an illusion, a shadow that makes your face look slimmer. That's something I didn't know from before I watched YouTube videos. I thought people just put bronzer like all over their cheek, but you actually want to put it like underneath here. And then you just blend. So I'm just gonna do the same on the other side and under the chin. And I just bring it down a bit so I don't accidentally get like a line of bronzer. I think bronzer is pretty self-explanatory because you're just following like the contours of your face. It's not like you need to know a special secret or anything. Some people put bronzer like on their nose as well, or like down the sides of their nose. to give like a bit of a contour. I don't usually do that, but I'm just demoing how you could do it. So it depends on the look you're going for. If you want like a really like a sun-kissed glow, you can put it on your nose as well. Basically like on the points of your face that would actually get tan in the sun. As I said, I don't get too technical with bronzer and contour, so but I'll just let you know, and if you're curious about contour. For your bronzer, you want a shade that's more like a shade that you would get from being tan. So it depends like your preferences. If you like something with shimmer in it, if you prefer something matte, that's up to you, but it should be a shade that looks natural, like you actually got sun. So you don't want a shade that makes you look orange, so like a super warm shade, but you also might not want a really cool tone shade because it could start to look ashy and like more on the gray side than like the bronze side. But for contour, you do want, well, usually you want a more cool tone shade. So I have like a palette here that has different shades in it, and the contour shade is much more of a cool tone than I would use for a bronzer, if you can tell. So something like this, but obviously it depends on your skin tone. Depending on whether you're already a cool tone undertone or a warm tone or a neutral, that will probably affect which color looks best on you. But this is a pretty like generic shade for a contour. So basically a contour is you're creating shadow, so that's why you don't want to use like a bronzy shade or like a really warm shade. So for contour, you want to go in with a thinner brush because you only want it in a certain area. So something like this. And just for the purpose of demonstrating, I will do some contour today. So you don't want to go in with too much product. And you want to contour the parts of your face that are already naturally shadowed because you want to accentuate it. It makes your face basically look more angular, I guess you would say. So you would start with the product on the brush, and you want to go like back here. So the bronzer, we kind of brought it all the way down here, but the contour, you really just want it at the back. Because if you look at your face like naturally, the shadows are along like the perimeter. They're not obviously in the front of your face. And you actually want to bring light to the center of your face, so you wouldn't want to put something dark there. There's like whole videos on just contouring if you're really wanting to know more about that. Like I said, I never contour. So this seems, this is actually feeling kind of strange to me. Some people put some under their bottom lip too, to make their lip more pronounced, and along the sides of their nose, like I just showed you, underneath. So however you feel like you look best. But that's, to me, that's an extra step. So if you're not into it, it's not something you have to do. So you just want to make sure that you're all blended. Usually I go in with blush after bronzer, so that's what I'm gonna do today. So for blush, you want it's hard to say. For blush, you want a brush that is smaller. So I always use this kind of brush that's slanted. This is actually a contour brush, so you could also use it for that. But I like the shape of it for my cheeks because of the slant here. That way, like, I'm not getting blush all the way down, like I'm generally pushing it up like so. So this brush just really works for me for that effect. For me, I like to get it right on my cheekbone, so when you smile, you can see where that would be. For me, it's right here. And I kind of pat the blush on first to get like a feel of like the pigmentation because blush can be tricky. Some blushes are very sheer and others are super pigmented, so depending on the texture of the product you're using, it's best to go in like lighter at first. And then what I like to do is bring it up towards my temple. There's no rules in makeup, by the way. This is just like tips for people that don't know anything about makeup, like you're just starting out. But you could put blush like just here if you wanted to, you know, it's up to you. But most people don't want to put like a circle of blush right on their cheek, which is why I like to blend it upwards like so. And you don't want to blend it downwards because you want to keep light here, which is why we put the bronzer under, like where the jawline is. You want to keep light to this part of your face, and that's why you created a shadow here with the bronzer or the contour to make your cheekbones pop. So the blush just adds to that effect, in my opinion. Now for one of the best parts, highlight. I feel like highlight is one of the things that makes the most impact on your look. So if you feel like you look really dull, or you're not happy with like the texture of your skin, or maybe you use like a foundation that was too matte, highlight can fix a lot of that. There's so many highlights on the market now. There's different textures, different finishes, and some are like baked, some are more like creamy, some are loose. So really I could do a whole video just on highlight, but this is not a product video, so I will skip that. But what I like to do is, if I'm doing like a more like fresh natural look, I like to apply my highlight with a fan brush, because it grabs the product, but it doesn't pack it on your face in like one area. And that's what you don't want with your highlight. You don't want it to look like you just went like this with like a shimmer product. So basically you want to put your highlight where the sun naturally hits your face, or where any light hits your face. So if you could see now, I don't have any highlight on, but just the light that I have behind the camera, it's already reflecting right here. That's where you want to put your highlight, because you want to accentuate that. And I just hold the brush on a slant again. You'll know on your own face where to put the highlight just from the feel, because it's where your bone is actually. Your ocular bone, is that what it's called? I don't know. I'm not a biologist, if that's even the word for it. But basically the highlight is the opposite of the bronzer. So where you don't put bronzer, you put highlight. And there's also a difference between matte highlights and this kind of highlight, which I'm not really going to go into because I don't really use matte highlight. Some people put it under their eye, or like even basically everywhere that they didn't put bronzer. I don't use those kind of products, so I'm just talking about this kind of highlight today. So if you can see, when I turn my head, it's catching the light, and obviously it looks more intense now than it did when I didn't have it. But what I like to do with my highlight is also bring it up around my eyebrow and up my forehead, but only like right here. Some people put highlight like on the front of their forehead, but for me, because I have a 5 head, I actually don't want to do that. I want my forehead to be smaller, or to appear smaller than it is. So I stick to the side. So I'm just gonna do the same thing on the side. My favorite place to apply highlight is actually the tip of my nose. I just find it looks like it just polishes off like your whole look somehow. So I'm just, you know, doing windshield wiper motions. And I do also put highlight down the center of my nose, which again, some people don't like to do that. If they don't like their nose, they don't want to accentuate it, because like I said, like several times already, you want to highlight the places that light would naturally hit, which is the parts of your face that come forward. That's just like, you know, physics. It's science. I also like to put highlight on my Cupid's bow, so that's where there's this dip right above your lip. That's called a Cupid's bow, if you didn't know. And with any excess, at this stage I don't put more product on the brush. I put it on my chin, but that's basically it. So if you can tell from the beginning, where I was just one shade because I didn't have any bronzer or contour, blush or highlight, now it's coming together. So you can see my features come out again, which I said in the previous video. I think, did I say that? I might have had to cut it out because I went on a big spiel about it. But you want makeup to be something you do to accentuate your natural features. You don't want to think of makeup like applying a mask, like you're going out for Halloween or something. On a regular basis, you just want to look fresh, right? We all want to look more youthful and glowy and more awake. So for me, that's what makeup is just working with your natural features, how the light naturally hits them, and just accentuating them and making them look better. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree with my techniques. You could also tell me I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't really. I'm just telling you guys what I've learned from watching many hours of YouTube videos. So I hope you like this video. We will do eyeshadow next. That's gonna be fun. I like putting eyeshadow on. That's like one of my favorite things to do in makeup. So I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already, so you can see more videos in this series, and leave a like if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!